turkey bone broth. Hi, this is Chef Kevin, and today I'm making turkey bone broth. This is a delicious and healthy broth. Now, this is the day after Christmas, so chances are you have a leftover turkey hanging around. Don't throw that carcass out. The bones in the carcass is what you use to make a bone broth. So let's take a closer look at what I have here. So what exactly is a bone broth, and how does it differ from broth? Well, there's a lot of confusion about that, and since there's no specific FDA requirements, any broth that is made from bones can be considered bone broth. However, if you're a foodie and a chef, you can make your own bone broth that has a higher concentration of bones simply by using a lot of bones. Within the bones are gelatin, and that gelatin is very beneficial to your skin, your nails, your hair, and it tastes good. So this is my carcass from a turkey that I have left over. Looks absolutely disgusting, doesn't it? But it's going to be beautiful. There's a considerable amount of meat still on these bones, and what I'm going to do is extract that and use it as a soup. This is the carcass. I have a bone, a leg bone, 2 leg bones, a couple of wings, a lot of meat on those wings. I also have half of a chicken that was cooked earlier this week, so I'm going to put that in there. Why not? Skin. Why do I have skin in here? Fatty skin. Well, the skin has a lot of flavor to it, and it has a certain color to it as well, and that'll contribute to the flavor of the bone broth. Now, you don't have to, but you should use vegetables in your broth because this makes it more flavorful as well. I have an onion, a head of garlic here, which I'm not going to use all of that. I have 2 carrots. I have celery. I'm not going to use all that. Maybe 3. I have some pickling spices here. This is a dried mix of several dried herbs: allspice, mustard, oregano, and that'll add a real nice flavor to it. And of course, all this is going to be drained out. It's all going to be strained out. Broth is a clear liquid. Once you add the meat back in, or a pasta or rice, then it becomes soup. I have 2 bay leaves here, and I have a package of thyme, fresh thyme, so I use that up as well. And I have some black peppercorns, which I failed to take out. But moving right along, the first thing I'm going to do is set up a stock pot, a large stock pot, in this case a 16-quart stock pot, and cover the meat with enough water just to cover it. And the water's going to be cold. You have to use cold water. This way the fat doesn't leach into the water and make it cloudy. And as that heats up, I'm going to prep the vegetables and add that to the pot. And it only has to cook about an hour. So let's get right into this. Okay, while the bones are coming to a simmer shortly. I have my vegetables prepped. I have about 12 sprigs of fresh thyme, 2 bay leaves. There's about 1/3 of a cup of dry pickling spices, 4 pieces of garlic. I have a medium-sized yellow onion that I diced. These aren't fancy cuts. This is not going to be presentated. This is going to be thrown out. You notice I have the skin on the onion. Why is that? Is this guy really that lazy? Well, not really. The skin adds a certain amount of flavor and color to it. The onion was washed and I cut off the tops and bottoms so there's no grit. I have 2 whole carrots here that I, again, rough chopped, washed them, cut off the tops and bottoms. I have 3 sticks of celery here with the celery leaves that has a lot of flavor to it. And I have 4 or 5 baby bella mushrooms that I just found in the refrigerator, so I'm going to add that to the stock as well. Now, you can use whatever vegetables you like, of course. The standard mirepoix of onions, carrots, and celery is usually 1/2 onion and 1/4 each of the carrots and celery. And not only does the vegetables contribute to the flavor, it also contributes to the health factor as well. Onions and garlic are 2 of the most healthiest vegetables out there. They're full of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. Okay, let's go over to the stock pot and just drop this in. Okay, let's get all these beautiful vegetables into the pot. Bone broth has actually become my morning drink. Instead of sipping on coffee, I'd rather have a nice big cup of bone broth. Get the day started. It's nice and warm, very comforting. Okay, I didn't forget the peppercorns. It's less than a tablespoonful. Let's go right in there. Now, I didn't add any salt because I'll add the salt at the very last step after I taste it, after I strain it. I'll add some salt to it. Okay, so I'm not going to even let this come to a boil, because if you let it come to a boil, the fat in there can be infused into the water and it could become cloudy, and that's okay, but appearance-wise it's not all that attractive. So you want to go for a clear broth. Unclear broths can be very suspicious. So it's just starting to come to a simmer. I'm going to keep it at a simmer for an hour. That's all you need. The meat will be fully cooked. It'll be easy to take off the bone after it cools down, of course. And all the vegetables will have rendered their flavors and vitamins and color into the water. Okay, so it's been simmering for a good half hour, and if you look closely, you'll see some foam on the surface, and that has to be extracted. So I have a skimmer here and a bowl of water. I'm just going to clean the skimmer in the bowl of water. Now this is impurities that are in the pot, and this happens every time you have a turkey or a chicken. And you want to get that out though, because you want to keep that stock with a broth nice and clear. And this you only have to do a couple of times because it's only an hour cooking process. Okay, I'm going to let this simmer for another half hour and then pull it off. Okay, so it's been a little over an hour at a simmer. Now we have to take these solids out of the pot. That's the main carcass there. Going to discard all the vegetables. More bones. A lot of meat on them bones. Make a nice turkey soup. Gonna let that cool down before I start picking it apart. Okay, that's pretty much everything. Now I have to strain it. Okay, so that's most of the material strained out. There's quite a lot of smaller bits and pieces in here. So we're going to run this through a strainer, fine mesh strainer. Now, I'm not going to empty the entire contents into the strainer because there may be some bits and pieces of debris, dirt or whatever that may have come from the vegetables. So I'm going to leave about a ½ inch or so in the bottom of this stock pot. Next thing I have to do is cool it down. Okay, so this is your regular ice bath cooling process here. The broth is in a large bain-marie, 2 gallons, and I put the bain-marie into the stock pot, filling it up with ice. I'm going to add some water to that, and this will cool it down within 20 minutes or so, and I can start decanting it. This process is very important though, because you want to be able to cool it down as quickly as possible so it's not affected by any bacteria. And this way I can put it in the fridge quickly. In the meantime, I'm going to be picking through my bones and getting some nice turkey meat out of that. So after everything has been said and done, I ended up with a pound or so of turkey meat and a little under 8 quarts of turkey bone stock. So what I'm going to do now is put them in the refrigerator, and the fat will rise to the top and I can easily skim it off. Okay, so this is one of the 8 quarts of turkey bone broth that I made yesterday. It's been in the refrigerator. Now, the fat has risen to the top, and that can easily be removed with a spoon. Now, you don't want to throw this down your sink though, because it could clog it up. In fact, if you want, you can actually save this and use it to saute or fry anything. It has a lot of flavor to it. It's a natural fat. Now, what I really want to show you though is the consistency of the bone broth. It's very dense, much thicker than water, much thicker than any commercial bone broth. And that's what makes a good broth, bone broth. When it's thick, that means it has a lot of gelatin in it. Now, I used 3 pounds of assorted turkey and chicken bones, along with the vegetables, and 2 gallons of water. So this is a nice thick consistency. It has a lot of gelatin in it. If I was to use more bones, then it would become a stock, and a stock is just too thick, too gelatinous to attempt to eat as is. That would have to be cut with water or broth. You never go into a restaurant and ask for a bowl of stock. So this has a lot of flavor to it and a lot of good health qualities as well. And this is the only way you can really get a bone broth that you know is a real bone broth. Of course, it's quite a lot of work, but I think it's worth it. And I'd like to thank you for watching this rather lengthy video. This is Chef Kevin, and I'm out for now.